Today, let's talk about layer styles and effects. So we have here a nice picture of a butterfly, and I've gone ahead and um, set the butterfly up on its own layer because when you're working with layer styles and effects, you need a selection. You can't apply it to an entire layer, such as a background, or even if you had an entire picture in here, you have to have a selection up on its own layer. So let me turn that off again so you can see. So I have the butterfly up there. We're going to be on that layer. And if you come down here, there's this little button next to the layer mask, which is called FX, or it looks like it says FX. And if you say that fast, you'll see exactly where they get that from. If you click on that, it pops up a bunch of different words and options. And sometimes you might think, or you might know exactly what you want, like drop shadow. That's a pretty common one. Click on that, and you're going to want to move it off of your image, which might, hold on, let me pull this out. It snuck back up in there. I'm going to put this to the side, then I'm going to open that up again. You're going to need to see your image. So right now I'm on drop shadow, and it's by default on black because shadows usually are, but you could change that to a different color. And you're going to start here in these areas with the sliders. So if you start to pull these out, and you may not see the effects right away, although you can if you look right here, like let me move that one back, you can start to see what's happening. And if you move these out a little bit at a time, you can see that I'm creating a drop shadow behind my butterfly. I can come here now, and this is giving you a little insight as to what's happening with the picture just by showing you on this little square. You can move the direction of this drop shadow so that it's coming like maybe down this way to, beneath the butterfly onto the flower. You can change its distance, the spread, and so on. So that might be something you'd want to add, but it's not the only thing. And you can change so many things about this. You can change the shape of the shadow, like, whoa, that's crazy stuff. Traditionally you're going to use some of these regular type shapes. Like I said, you can change the color. You can change how opaque or not opaque it is. Okay, so that's like how see-through it is to the background and so on. You could change its blending mode, and we've learned a lot about those to different things. I think it was on multiply to start, so I'll put it back on that. Okay, but drop shadow is only one of the options. So by clicking on this checkbox, you can turn that off and on. So like for instance, another one would be outer glow. Outer glow is usually starting on white, but you could change it to a different color also. This one is going to work much the same way. How big it gets, the spread that it goes out. You can change something called the noise, which might affect how much it looks like it's crackly. This also has a blending mode, which you can change by default. It was on screen. You could change its color, like I could make it something kind of yellowy, which looks pretty. Okay. Technique, softer, precise. I don't know, that's kind of neat. Okay, so these are lots of things that you can change in the setting there. And then if you were like, wow, I mess with that so much, I want to come back and reset it. You can double up on things by changing and going with more than one. You can really experiment with lots of these different layer effects. Now, why would you want to use these? Well, especially in like the scanner piece, when you are putting up lots and lots of different selections on their own layers, you may very well be able to emphasize your focal point. Look at that, it's putting things inwards, which is pretty neat. You may want to emphasize your focal point with a beautiful layer effect. Some of you, I told you to wait to see on your blended artwork, how you could apply a layer effect to really bring attention or make some part of your thing glow. Um, you know, there's lots of wonderful things you can do with the layer effect. So, like, these can be turned off and on if you decide you don't want it. Another really neat thing is if you really quick, I should have made the selection before, but it's okay. If you really quick make a selection, let's say of this flower, and you put this up on its own layer, and you're like, oh man, I exactly want these effects on that layer. If you hold the Alt key, it's the Alt key. Nope, it's the Control key. Oh gosh, hold on. Oh, wait a minute. Oh yeah, that worked, but it doesn't look very good. If you hold the, let me see, yep, duplicate layer effects. Yes, if you hold the Control key and drag, no, why isn't that working? Ah, oh, look at that. That's interesting. I held the Command key and I dragged that up there and it literally moved it. Oh, no, that just happens anyway. Well, that's neat. You can just hold the Command key and move it back and forth. It must be the Control key that allows you to... No, the Control key is like a right click. Which one is it? Alt. I think it's Alt. Yes, the Alt key will allow you to copy the effects that you set on one to the next. So let me just clarify that since I said 100 different things. If you hold the Command key, you can switch it from one to another. And if you hold the Alt key, it will duplicate from one to another. So you can see a slight difference on that yellow. It is not as dramatic as on the butterfly. Okay, so layer effects really greatly enhance anything that's on a selection. You can't apply them to a solid layer, but you can apply them to a selection and they're pretty awesome. All right, great.